Hi, I'm Mike Miller. Hope you're having a great day. Thanks so much for watching. I really appreciate it. My guest today is an amazing photographer who's really made a mark on the Dallas-Fort Worth and Denton area. Has photographs a lot of national people. Brian Wilson, Will Ferrell, won the 2014 Dallas Observer Best Music Photographer Award. And Ed, I appreciate you being here. Ed Steele.
Thank you very much. Pleasure.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
You stay busy.
Oh yeah, that's for sure.
We were just talking about Heaven Knows, a song that's getting a lot of rotation on 97.1.
Yeah, Taylor Momsen and Pretty Reckless. Some people know her as Cindy Lou Who, but she's grown up now, and they've got a great band. I photographed them at House of Blues a few years ago.
Blues, yeah. She was in the Grinch movie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
How old is she now, do you think?
I've got to say early 20s.
Yeah.
But really, really great band, great performance.
Yeah.
It's interesting they're getting a lot of airplay now. I didn't know that.
Yeah, some younger people were telling me that earlier down at Jupiter House.
Nice. Actually, the other day, I think it was at Viet Bites, I saw someone with a Taylor Momsen and the Pretty Reckless shirts.
Oh, really?
There you go.
Yeah. I saw the photography. It's really good.
Thank you.
You know how to capture the essence of energy, it seems like.
I'm always flattered when I hear that. Thank you. I know what I like. And when I see a moment that looks like the right moment, that's what I like to capture.
Last year you were involved with the Thin Line, the photography contest they had.
Mm-hmm. Yes, the photography festival at Thin Line was the first of its kind in Denton. And I curated submissions from pretty much all over the world. We had photographers submitting from India, from New York, had a lot of great submissions. We had those on display at a number of locations, former Banter, at Hypnotic Donuts, at the Golden Triangle Mall. And you know the process that we went through putting those together, probably better than most people. It
was fun getting to help you out with that. I enjoyed that.
Yeah.
Ed let me help hang pictures and taught me some things about that, and it was really a lot of fun and great pictures, great photography. I didn't realize it was from all over the world.
Yeah.
And many of the photographers came to that event.
They did, which was great, which was really nice.
Yeah.
Got to meet Scott Houston, extremely talented.
Yes.
Documentary filmmaker and photographer.
Mm-hmm.
And a number of associates and friends who submitted also came, and we're doing it again this year. Submissions are open. So
that's good.
Yeah.
And you did Oaktopia in 2013?
I've done actually all of the Oaktopias.
Oh, really? Oh, okay.
Yeah. So assuming, unless I'm incorrect, I think this is the third one, right?
Third one, yes.
So I photographed the first in 2013 and then the second in 2014.
Okay.
And both of those were for the Dallas Observer.
Oh, okay.
2014, the Oaktopia guys were nice enough to make me their official photographer and had a lot of access and was there the entire weekend, and it was amazing. Looking forward to it coming up too.
And some of the slides you brought, Day of the Dead.
The Denton Day of the Dead Festival. I've been photographing that since 2012, and the coffin races. Are a big draw to that.
People enjoy that so much.
Oh my gosh! I remember. It's funny. I remember they've since added the barricades down the sides.
Yeah.
But in 2012, they just had hay bales.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and you can, I'm sure you've seen some of those coffins. I'm sure they're built with the best intentions, but they don't always steer straight. So, yeah, a couple of them went straight through the hay bales. And this past year, the coffin races, there was one coffin in particular that collided with another. And one of the slides that I brought is the team that their coffin was disabled when the other team crashed into them. And the other team is back in the distance trying to get their coffin together. This team, led by the Joker, guy in Joker makeup, is lifting and basically pushing their coffin to the finish line. It was a fun moment, very exciting.
Yeah,
and
really.
There's more than the coffin race too. There's the salsa competition. There's the Cirque du Horror. Just so much at that festival. So many great things to see. It's one of my favorites.
And you've been involved with South by Southwest a number of times?
This year was my first year to shoot at South by Southwest.
Oh, okay.
And was there for a week shooting for my agency, Polaris Images.
Polaris.
And wow, such a great experience. So interesting to see how big that festival's grown. And, you can be, I literally finished with a private interview photographing Robert Duvall and Josh Hartnett in the Driscoll Hotel. Walked out, stopped to grab a bite to eat, saw a big crowd gathering on the street. I'm like, what's going on here? And it's Will Ferrell, another one of the slides that I brought, with Kevin Hart promoting one of their movies. Mm-hmm. And they're surrounded by security and big crowd, and they're doing man in the street interview, asking questions. And so I'm like, here we go. Start taking more photographs.
Yeah. That's a fun event to go to.
It's mind-boggling.
It is, yeah.
It really is mind-boggling how much there is to do and see. Yeah.
The Wee Beasties, you photographed them a few times.
Yes.
Yeah.
Denton's most controversial band. Yeah. Richard Askins and the Wee Beasties were actually my catalyst for music photography.
Really?
If you have some time, I'll tell you the story. My wife and I were at 35 Denton in March of 2011.
Okay.
And the Wee Beasties were booked to play on the Courthouse Square.
Yeah.
Since that performance, they no longer book performances on the Courthouse Square. And it was a little crazy, obviously. If you've seen the Wee Beasties, Richard doesn't hold back. And they were backed up that day by a lot of really talented musicians. Robert Hokamp, Jeffrey Barnes, formerly Brave Combo. And man, the show was great. There were 400 people at least. I've got a video on YouTube that I shot with my iPhone that day.
Really?
But prior to that, I'd not been shooting music. And I saw that show and I said, this is what I need to be doing.
Is that right?
These are the type of things that I want to be photographing, the excitement and the energy. And then in 2012, the next year, I shot over 200 shows in Denton and DFW.
What did you mainly shoot prior to that?
Prior to that, I was shooting a lot of macro work, and my wife and I are involved with a cat rescue group called Cat Matchers, and I was doing photographs for them. And brought another slide of a kitten that was available for adoption through Cat Matchers.
That's good.
Yeah.
You mentioned Brave Combo. You brought a slide of them.
Yes, they had a video shoot this year, and it was over at their studio over on Oak Street, and that was just a ton of fun. Smoke machine, and everybody's wearing masks. Carl's playing, and yeah, that was a good time.
They've traveled all over the world.
Yeah, I've let's see. I think the first time I photographed Brave Combo was in 2011. The Wee Beasties and Brave Combo actually played album release show at Haley's in 2011.
Really?
And then I reached out to Carl and started photographing them at the Denton Arts and Jazz Festival since 2012.
That's great.
Yeah.
What are some of the other slides that you brought to share with us today?
I brought some slides from the Gathering of the Juggalos,
okay,
which I recently attended this year, which it's funny, people tend to have a very definitive opinion and preconceived notion, and I won't say that it wasn't one of the most crazy things I've ever been at, but the people there were so nice. Everyone was so nice and friendly, and just genuinely looking out for each other, out there to have a good time, not out there to hurt each other. One of the shots that I brought is a band called Mushroom Head, and they wear these really, really interesting masks. And one of the, I think it was the percussionist, decided that he was going to crowd surf on an inflatable orca whale. So security at first didn't want to let him, and he insisted he was going to do it, and the band's playing, and he gets out there, and the crowd's holding him up on this inflatable orca whale like he's in a pool. And it was a really interesting moment. The other, one of the other shots I brought is of a band called Wolfpack. And they had, just to give you an idea of how crazy this show was, they had guys in army fatigues with hockey masks made up as zombies that rushed off the stage into the audience and started their own mosh pit.
Really?
They had girls on 2 poles dancing. They had fire breathers, and just it's the sort of thing where you think to yourself, am I really seeing this? Is this real, or am I having, am I having some sort of really surreal nightmare, or is this a David Lynch movie? But yeah, and then one of the last slide that I brought is of Insane Clown Posse's performance. And
really?
If you can imagine a stage with Insane Clown Posse, they've got 100 people that they invited to be on stage dressed as clowns, spraying bottles of Faygo and launching bottles of Faygo into the audience.
Faygo.
Faygo is a soda that's available in the Northeast, and very popular, but that's their thing. Comes in all these crazy flavors and colors.
Oh, I've seen that, yeah.
Yeah, so they spray the audience. They've got 100 guys launching, and there's bottles flying everywhere, and people flying, and crowd surfing, and lights, and a giant clown on the stage, and you're like, is this real?
Where was that?
That took place in Thornville, Ohio.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I traveled there and stayed with Stanton. Stanton had an RV, and I hooked up with them and stayed out there for a couple nights.
Stanton?
Stanton Brasher.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Stanton is the one of the film directors for Thin Line.
Okay.
Selecting movies for this year. Yeah. He also runs a website called Soficking News.
Okay.
Really great guy.
I've met him. He's a very nice guy.
Yeah.
I knew he was involved with the industry somehow.
Yeah.
You've been working for Polaris this year.
Mm-hmm. Polaris is an agency in New York, and been doing some work for them. I'm photographing Oaktopia for the Dallas Observer this weekend. I've got my studio, which is over in the Sierra Bank building, which is a fascinating building built in the 60s. I'm told it was originally a civil defense bunker.
Really?
And became a bank. They had some lawyers and a title office down in the basement for a while. Then it sat for about 15, 20 years, no one down there. And I was one of the first people to lease a space down there. So I've got great studio space down there. Painted the walls, new lights, cleaned it up. So between Polaris, Dallas Observer, requests from TW Lasso or NT Daily, studio work, and festivals, I tend to stay a little busy.
Sounds like it.
Yeah.
The Glenn Friedman.
Yes, Glenn Friedman. He's one of my influences. Annie Leibovitz is another.
Yeah.
Amanda Demi is another. Roger Ballin, who does the photography for DeAntvert, did a couple of their videos.
Really? Have you ever met Friedman?
I have not.
Oh,
he photographed a lot of the early greats in rap, Beastie Boys. One of his, I don't know if are we allowed to curse here? One of his books that I have, and it's funny because I forget from time to time, maybe these are not the things you want to have out on the coffee table when someone comes over, but it's a word that starts with the letter F, You Heroes. And it's a collection of his photographs. A lot of really great work.
He did a lot of bands and punk bands and rap bands.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Black Flag.
Henry Rollins.
Yeah.
Actually, funny, I bumped into Henry Rollins at South by Southwest.
Really?
He is in a film called Immortal. I think it's Immortal. Is it Immortal? I forget the name of the film. He plays an immortal cannibal in the film. Really, really fascinating film. A lot of dark humor. But he was on the red carpet, and I arrived a little bit late. I was photographing another show on 6th Street. Wanted to make the red carpet, so I run out of that show, hop into a pedicab, tell the pedicab where I'm going. He's pedaling furiously, and we're going there, and I get there and hop out, and I see the lights for the red carpet, the step and repeat, shut off. But he's still there, and I had my Polaroid SLR 680. So I said, may I please take your picture with my fancy newfangled camera? And he didn't skip a beat. He said, Andy Warhol used to take pictures with his Polaroid and sign them and give them to people and say that you had a Warhol original. And I said, I didn't know that. That's fascinating. He said, go ahead. So I got a Polaroid of Henry Rollins.
That's great.
Yeah.
I've heard he travels around to other countries and has made some done video work, just going to foreign countries and walking around with camcorders. And I don't know when I read that, a number of years ago. But
yeah. Fascinating guy.
Yeah.
Really fascinating. Really no nonsense. Very direct and to the point, which, is good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When you were a teenager, you were fascinated with photography and had cameras and.
Yeah. I had my dad's Polaroid.
Yeah.
I used to carry my dad's 35 millimeter Ricoh film camera.
Yeah.
In my pocket and take that to school, junior high school, and
Where did you go to school?
I went to school at Strickland Junior High in Denton.
Okay. Yeah.
And then UNT. But I'd take my dad's film camera and I'd take pictures of people, or I'd take a picture, and I kept all of the negatives. So I have all of those negatives from back, and I've scanned them, digitized them, cleaned them up a bit, and so I wasn't on the yearbook staff. I have no idea why, but I've always had a love for photography. Had my dad's Super 8 camera and would do little stop motion movies with that.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Yeah.
So your dad was interested in photography as well?
He was. He had an interest in it as a hobby.
Yeah. At Anime Fest, you've done some Vanilla Ice.
Yeah, Vanilla Ice. Actually photographed him twice. Once at Grover's in Frisco.
Really?
Funniest thing, because the stage is probably about the size of this room.
Oh, really?
Not a really big venue.
Yeah.
And I forget how I found out about that, but at that point we hadn't moved back to Denton. I grew up here. Parents moved here when I was very young, and then moved away to Frisco. Recently moved back. Anyway, I found out he's playing right around the corner. I can't pass this up. So I mentioned it to my editor at the Observer at the time, and he's like, "Oh, we want pictures of that for sure."
Really?
And then
is he a pretty nice guy?
He is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very, just very
friendly.
Easygoing and friendly, and yeah.
I heard somebody held him out a hotel window one time by his feet.
Oh, really?
Somebody with the record company or something. He had a.
I've not heard that story.
Really?
Yeah.
I think it's true. I read it a few years ago, but.
That's fascinating.
Yeah, he's had an exciting life, I guess, in ways. I guess that was a shock to have such a big hit like that. That was really a big hit when he came out with Ice Ice Baby.
Yeah, just out of the blue.
Yeah.
But I think the second time was at Jared's Epic Party.
Oh, really?
Which was at Southside Music Hall. And that was a fascinating thing, because it was a lot of 80s. It was the ultimate 80s party.
Yeah.
You had Vanilla Ice, you had the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, you had RoboCop, one of the actresses from the Back to the Future movies.
Really?
Arcades, and yeah, it was neat. It's a lot of fun.
Now, Krampus Society, what is that?
Yes, Krampus Society. I actually have one of my metal prints up at Chestnut Tree of Krampus Society. I didn't bring that picture as a slide, but I brought a couple others. And Krampus is a Germanic legend about the antithesis of Santa Claus. So you have Santa Claus, who brings presents to the good children, and the naughty children get carried away and eaten by Krampus. So he's the motivator for kids to be good, right? And I guess when the idea of Santa Claus was, adopted here, they decided, we'll just leave this awful furry guy with the horns that, doesn't really have a pleasant association with children. But Krampus Society is run by a group of guys from Dan's Haunted House,
Really?
who I do work for, and they have the Krampus costumes, and a lot of the masks they've made themselves. And there's a big Krampus walk going on in Deep Ellum on December 5th.
Really?
So if you're going to be in the Deep Ellum area, I didn't bring a photo of that today, but you will literally see close to 100 Krampus.
Really?
Walking the streets, banging bells and yelling and roaring, and it's nuts. It's a lot of fun.
I bet. Yeah, I was looking at some of that on the internet today. It's pretty interesting.
Yeah, there's
the new movie coming out.
There's
yeah.
What's funny is when did we have that? Was it 2013? We had that really bad storm where everyone was iced in for a week.
Yeah.
Was that 2013?
I believe. Yeah, I think
it was
so.
13. I'd missed Krampus Denton in 2012. I found out about it late, and then I said, next year I'm not going to miss that, because there's a guy who does Krampus locally by himself out on the square, and he actually hands presents to kids, which is great.
Yeah.
And literally as the freezing rain is coming down, I'm finishing up and leaving, and drive back home quickly, and then we're iced in for a week. And so I think the editor, Gavin Cleaver at The Observer at the time, said that Krampus, brought the icy weather in or something like that. It was funny. But yeah, I don't think Krampus Denton will be appearing this year. He's got a little Krampus of his own on the way. So.
Oh, really? Yeah.
So.
What is the biggest challenge to being a successful photographer like yourself, do you think?
What is the biggest challenge?
Maybe you don't see it, you just deal with it.
Well, I could tell you a long and boring story that has a very simple ending. The simple ending is punch wall. You just keep.
Yeah.
You just keep. A friend who took jiu-jitsu, his sensei was taught by a man who was military police in World War II. Stationed in Japan after the war had ended, and they found out about this ancient art of fighting called jiu-jitsu. They send him to train with a little old Japanese man. For 6 months, the man has him punch a bamboo wall. What are we going to do today? Punch a wall. He comes back, his superiors say, what did you learn? He had me punch a wall for 6 months. That was a tremendous waste of time. He's guarding a medical supply station. Someone tries to break in. His first instinct is not to grab his gun. He punches the guy right in the face, kills him with one hit. So his superiors say, maybe there's something to this. We're going to send you back and learn the rest from this man, and he did. So it's punch wall. I'm not talking about killing someone with your camera, obviously, but I'm just saying for 6 months,
just
for a year,
practicing,
for 2 years, for 5 years, for however long it takes, figure out what it is. And I decided for me, it was music.
Yeah.
So I figured that out in 2011, did the learning and training that I needed to do, and then in 2012, 200 shows. That's my version of punch wall. And so I think the biggest challenge to being successful at anything, maybe not even a photographer, but at anything, is having the determination to just keep going at the wall.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Because I don't know if I look tired today, but
no.
I typically do look a little tired because I don't get a lot of sleep, and I'm constantly going from place to place.
Yeah.
One of the things that I'd be remiss not to mention, Friends with Benefits, that's run by Mindy Arendt, who also works with Thin Line, and it's a nonprofit, and they run events for charities. And one of the projects that Mindy came to me about this year was doing a firefighters and EMT calendar.
Really?
So, you think to yourself, 12 pictures, that's not a lot. 2 months later, and trying to get people scheduled, and can we come out, and can we get permission to shoot at the station, and can we, long story short, it's going to be a great calendar, and hopefully we'll raise a lot of money for Michael's Memories and the Russ Martin Foundation.
That's great.
That's what it's intended to do. So.
She stays really busy with a lot of projects.
She does.
Do you still use the same kind of cameras and lens that you did several years ago, or have you?
I'm constantly changing.
Yeah.
So I started out with a Canon T1i, and that's a crop frame sensor camera.
Okay.
Which means if you stick a 50 millimeter lens on there with the crop frame, you're actually multiplying by 0.6 if I remember correctly. Anyway, long story short, you don't get the exact, you're not getting true 50 millimeter with a crop frame, but it's a less expensive camera. It's a consumer camera. So I upgraded after a couple of years to the Canon 5D Mark III. And I'm constantly figuring out different ways to look at things through different lenses, different techniques, figuring out, is this an extreme low light situation? Is this, can I use flash here? Can I not use flash? How are we going to get the best results? So the short answer, I realize now, is I'm constantly changing it up.
This is a simplistic question, I guess, but wide angle is something that's really popular these days. Mm-hmm. Just because you can see so much action at one time, mainly the panoramic effect of it, I guess.
Yeah, yeah. You can get some distortion around the edges.
Edges, yeah.
Yeah. One of the photos that I brought from the Gathering of the Juggalos is of, he insisted I call him Eyes.
Really?
Because he had 2 eyes tattooed on the back of his head.
Really?
But he is lighting up some substance. I didn't ask what it was. I don't know if it's legal substance or not, but in front of a stage. And so you can see his head is distorted. You can definitely see everyone in the tent, but there's definitely some barrel distortion going on there.
Yeah, yeah. Are there any other slides that you'd like to talk about that we haven't?
Let's see. What did I bring today? There's Brave Combo. Oh, Murder FM.
Okay.
Murder FM is another band that's getting a lot of attention and airplay. And when my studio was over in the Texas building, they came in for a band shoot.
Okay.
And this was right when Herrera's was being renovated there on the corner to be the new Barley and Board. Mm-hmm. And it was torn out. I mean,
oh, yeah.
There's stuff, you can see in the picture, there's stuff hanging from the ceiling, and there's bare concrete walls, and this blood red couch sitting in the middle of the space.
Really?
And I said, this is a one-of-a-kind, perfect opportunity.
Yeah.
So I never rush into a space without asking for permission, especially when there's construction going on.
Yeah.
It can be dangerous.
Yeah.
And I found the foreman, and he connected me with the right guy to talk to, and said, hey, can we have permission to shoot in here? Sure can. So that picture of Murder FM on the red couch is actually in the middle of Barley and Board now.
Really?
Yep. That's where they were sitting.
I've heard that's a good place to eat.
I haven't been there yet, but I'm looking forward to trying it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Were there any others at all that?
Let's see. I did bring a shot of Ginny Mac and Hale Baskin, Alex and Kent Shores. Ginny was putting together a Queen tribute band.
Oh, yes. Mm-hmm.
And she said, would you do some photos for us? And I said, that sounds fascinating. She actually ended up performing with Queen for a Day, which was an existing, established Queen tribute band that lost their lead singer.
Oh, really?
And one of Ginny's heroes is Freddie Mercury.
Yeah.
So the picture, I should have brought the Queen 2 cover in to demonstrate. But when you look at it, you'll see it's basically a recreation of the Queen 2 cover with Ginny and the 3 individuals who were going to be in the original tribute band. So
yeah.
That was a lot of fun.
They were a great band.
Yeah, I did bring a picture.
Ginny's very talented.
She's dynamic. I did bring a photo of what did he say? It's a photo of a gentleman with a sign at the fracking rally.
Oh, yeah.
I brought another photo in. Let's see here. It's another interesting one. The Insane Clown Posse. Oh, I did bring... I'm constantly talking about, strange creatures from outer space and bands that launch things into the audience or performers running around in women's underwear. Did bring a really nice photo of my friend Amanda and her little girl. Just maybe to demonstrate that it doesn't always have to be weird and out of this world for me. I can take normal photos. I get that from time to time. Do you ever photograph, weddings or engagements or normal things? And the answer is yes. just
even pets.
Yeah, even pets.
People's pets.
Even pets. Yeah.
Ed, I appreciate you being here very much today.
Hey, I cannot thank you enough for having me on and letting me ramble about myself. And thank you.
You have a lot of talent, and you're a great asset to the community for sure.
Well, I'm honored. Thank you.
And thanks so much for watching, and we hope you have a great day.